our expedition today, we decided to travel to Koreatown and Chinatown to explore the vast cultural treasures around New York City's Asian community. If you've always been interested in Asian culture, follow us and we'll show you the exclusive hotspots.
Come on!
Alright, so let's go to Chinatown.
Oh, come on, Koreatown first.
No.
Oh, come on, guys, come on.
Walk to the corner of 6th Avenue and 32nd Street, and you'll immediately discover a haven of Korean restaurants and businesses. It is this neighborhood near Herald Square, which is usually named as New York's Koreatown.
Although commonly referred to as K-Town, the proper name of this area is Korea Way. Whether it's killer kimchi, galbi, or karaoke at every angle, K-Town is the place to be.
Trying to find the most poorly advertised museums of all time is no easy task. Located in an obscure building, instead of seeing the museum's name, we were greeted by a for rent sign. After taking a shabby elevator to the 3rd floor, we were sandwiched between 2 doors in a poorly lit hallway.
On one door was a sign delineating the entrance to the Lee Young-hee Korean Museum. Not only was the door locked, but there was a small doorbell that granted us access to the museum, with a surprised curator waiting for us.
All the items featured in the museum are from the later half of the Joseon dynasty. The museum's central focus is hanbok, which is Korean traditional clothing. Here we see the king with the headdress with the strings of beads, which is equivalent to a crown. As you can see here, the king is wearing his ceremonial robes called the myeonbok, which is primarily blue as a sign of royalty.
The queen does not have an elaborate headpiece, but she has a very detailed and unique coiffure. Her ceremonial dress, called the wonsam, is in red to symbolize her royal status.
Because of the diverse weather conditions in Korea, peasants wore clothes made from materials such as hemp, ramie, and cotton. The peasants wore mostly white, while other colors like red, blue, and yellow were worn by the upper class.
This here is an example of the attire worn by the groom, called the kwanbok. This here is an example of the attire worn by the bride, called the hwarut. As you can see, they were not very elaborate because they were meant for commoners.
The hairpins we see here are called binyo and are traditional ornaments for women in Korea. They are used to uphold their long hair into the style of shinyeong, the standard hairstyle of the time. The difference in material and pattern with which social class a woman belongs to.
These norigai, or pendants, are accessories worn by women. It is usually tied to a coat string or to the waist of a skirt. It was widely used by both the nobility as well as the commoners.
Items in the gift shop ranged from miniature versions of the elaborate hairpins we saw to small Korean bookmarks and thimbles. There were also Korean books discussing Korean culture and clothing.
K-Town has a variety of restaurants. Unfortunately, they are all expensive. Instead of having Korean barbecue, which is supposedly fantastic, we went to Pinkberry to have some frozen yogurt. Yum.
Step off the N train and you're located outside of China itself. As Chinese immigrants migrated to New York in the 1800s, they settled in the area bounded by Canal, Bowery, Worth, and Baxter Streets.
Unlike the Lee Young-hee Korean Museum, the Museum of Chinese in America is much more official. It was recently relocated to Central Street this past September. The building itself looks renewed since moving from an old school building in downtown Chinatown. It was designed by a longtime supporter of the MOCA, Maya Lin, who put a lot of thought into making it the national center of the Chinese American story.
The first Chinese immigrants arrived in the mid-1800s during the gold rush in California. As they adapted to American life, they took on jobs such as cooks, peddlers, and storekeepers. Over 10,000 Chinese immigrants played an integral part in the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad.
Here we have the Chinese lion, and it can be seen during the celebration of Lunar New Year. The dance has its origins in India and has roots in Buddhism. It's usually associated with Kung Fu and is often confused with the Chinese dragon. This exhibit, titled Here and Now, feature artists with a Chinese background and display their unique modernized artwork. Here we see sculptures of heads of iconic figures such as Buddha and Abraham Lincoln, made entirely of phone books.
After perusing the streets of Koreatown and Chinatown, we ate at a local Chinese restaurant. We ordered foods like scallion pancake, wonton soup, General Tso chicken, and chicken and pineapple fried rice. They were all very cheap and very good.
Just take down now. Oh no. I don't see the case.